Oh, hi. Hello there. Welcome back to Dispelling the Myths with Ish. Exhibit A, ladies and gentlemen.
The Civil Rights Act is not safe.
Please tell us when it ever was. I mean, I don't know about you, but white people are still killing us.
And racial discrimination is now essentially legal in the state of Texas.
Racial discrimination has been legal for centuries in this country, so what are we talking about? Are you late to the party, Becky?
The Supreme Court just allowed Texas to go forward with a new version of a show me your papers law, which essentially allows them to racially profile any brown person or black person living in the state of Texas who they suspect of violating immigration laws.
And this is a problem for Black Americans because... In fact, this is a problem for Americans because... Why? How is this a problem? Anyone? Can anyone tell me how this is a problem? Somebody? Somebody? Nobody? Nobody with sense can tell me how this is.
Aaron Zwiener is a state house member in the Texas legislature, and she said that this is very clearly a test case for the Supreme Court, just like the civil bounty abortion ban.
Well, abortion... It's abortion.
That the Supreme Court allowed to stay in effect early in 2022 was the test case for them to overturn Roe v. Wade, which banned abortion in several states across the country. So if we're putting the puzzle pieces together here...
I'm putting them together. And for me, this sounds like you want black bodies to fill places for your plights. That's what the pieces together are saying.
SB 8, which was the civil bounty abortion ban, the Supreme Court allowed it to stay in effect before they overturned Roe v. Wade. Now, SB 4, the racial discrimination bill...
Why are you yelling?
...has been allowed to go into effect by the Supreme Court.
I'm not trying to be funny, but when has any of these bills ever stopped white people from murdering black people? In fact, when have they ever ceased white people from murdering black people? Does it only matter to you now because you think somehow it affects you? Some immigrants in your family, maybe? White women tend to only care when it affects them. I'm just curious where you're going with this video. And why you mentioned black and brown people. Because black Americans cannot be deported from this country. We built the predominance of this country. We're undeportable. So why should we care? Please tell us.
And what ruling that has lots of precedent of protection?
Again, in 2024, where they're still murdering black people, what protections are you speaking of? Protections is reparations, okay? Protections is remittances. Protections is paying the debt owed to the people who built this here country that everyone is fleeing to. Protection is letting these people address immigration. If you ain't got your papers, bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later. Or never at all.
What law was passed to protect people from discrimination?
It literally isn't protecting the people that it was written for. Because black people are still dying in 2024. In fact, it's protecting everyone else but the people, black people, that it was written for. So what are you talking about? Honestly. Did you think policy on paper was the same as policy in practice, ma'am?
The Civil Rights Act. And this is in the midst of attacks on CRT, on DEI, after they rolled back affirmative action.
CRT is fallacious because it's an excuse to not allow black people to have autonomy to teach their own history. DEI is a facade to allow other groups to have equity while still being inequitable to the black American people who built this country. Number one beneficiaries of affirmative action were white women. Like you, screaming in this video.
If you think that this is secluded to just Texas, you're wrong.
If it's wrong, I don't want to be right. That's right. You guessed it. I'd rather be wrong than right on this one.
Because just like how the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and they allowed SB 8 to go into effect, other states followed. That could include your state too.
Come on, come on. Send them all back home. Listen, I got my papers. I know Black Americans got their papers because we are undeportable. I got my papers, passport, state ID, real ID.
And now that there's precedent for them allowing this to go into place, that means if Republicans take control of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate, they could pass this bill federally.
Well, we let the other side be in charge, and now we're being overrun. So they're giving these people gift cards, houses, cars, letting them stay in airports, hotels, the kids' schools. I mean, did you think that regular American citizens who have been here and come from the legacy of building this country up wouldn't be outraged about that?
Elections have consequences.
Girl, that is the first thing in this video that you've said that I agree with, okay? Literally have a president who wants people to come here and take precedent over foundational American citizens, and you think that people asking them for their papers to validate their citizenship is a problem?
And this is what happens when people don't get involved in their state house races, or they don't get involved in their gubernatorial races, and then states get gerrymandered to hell, and Republicans are allowed to pass bills like this.
Talk about gerrymandering? Why don't we talk about the history of gerrymandering and how it's been exclusively directed at the Black American community? You know, the people who predominantly built this country that you want immigrants to take precedent over.
And if you think it won't happen to your state, look at the state of abortion care across the country.
Black Americans are experiencing a genocide. I think abortion is the last thing that we're thinking about right now, if at all. How about restitution, remittances, reparations? Let's start there. Oh,